things wedding related, and welcome to the Wedding Wisdom Podcast with your hosts, Tanya Hoops and Morgan Powell.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wedding Wisdom today. We are going to talk about my friend Morgan today. We did not get an opportunity to introduce her at this point, and we wanted to make sure we did that. So let's start with Morgan. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, just as a person.
So I like to say I am living in my grandma era. I do everything when I don't have a camera attached to my hand. I am quilting or knitting. I learned how to make both of my great grandmas on separate sides. One is famous for their caramels. The other one is famous for their fudge. I've learned how to make both of those. And we're headed into that season. So
I'm expecting some of those very shortly here, both of them. No,
yes, you will. You will have those. So I love being, and I wear it proudly. I am a full-blown grandma hobbyist, have a garden, but I am an incredibly sentimental person, which is one of the reasons that I do what I do.
Yeah, because you're the one that creates those sentimental moments at the weddings. We build them and create them as planners. You're the one that captures them.
Yeah.
And they last forever because you do capture them.
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
That's great.
My pride and joy right now is my grandparents' wedding album. So
how neat.
After they passed, I was lucky enough to get that in the dividing up of family heirlooms.
That's fabulous. What a great treasure to have.
Yeah.
And what a great treasure for you to have with what you do.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you got into photography, because I actually know the story and love the story, but let's tell everybody how you got into photography.
So long story long, because I've been in the industry for 15 years, so it has been a minute. I had a really good friend. I was up at the University of Utah, and to back up a little bit before I really jumped in, I was looking for a hobby and a creative outlet. I was working in my family business, and so I took a photography class. The only stipulation on the class was it had to have a manual setting. So I grabbed my Canon PowerShot that did in fact have a manual setting and took off to my first photography class, and I absolutely fell in love. In fact, one of the images that I took in that class hangs over my desk. It blew it up huge. It's 24 by 36, and it's a reminder of where I started. So I love that.
Do you ever have moments where you need to look at that and say, this is why I do what I do? I mean, we all have moments in life, right? But does that happen as a photographer?
It does. And what's really interesting about that particular image is it's a picture of another photographer with a bride.
Interesting.
In an alley in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. That I saw that moment and I was completely jealous and was like, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. And so it's a reminder of where I started and the goals that I had, and that girl, because I was pretty young when I took that class, but that girl would just pinch herself if she knew where I am today.
Which I think she is pinching herself, right?
She is.
Yes.
I won't lie. I pinch myself on the regular to go, what is my life?
Yep.
But I had a good friend of mine that was engaged. And so I met with her and her fiance. I had not done any professional photos up until that point. I had a better camera than the Canon PowerShot. So I'd upgraded my camera. But she asked me how much it would be to photograph her wedding.
Yeah.
And they were getting married in January.
In Utah, correct?
Yes. January in Utah. And I had no idea, so I gave them a price. And I actually told them not to hire me. I told them to I would love to photograph their engagement session. And it's very traditional here in Utah to do a bridal session. So I told them, hire me to do those, because if I screw them up, you can do it again. But hire somebody who knows what they're doing to shoot your wedding. And they called me about an hour later and said, we really, really liked you and we really trust you. Is there any way that you would consider photographing our wedding? And I was born with the how hard could it be gene. So
you have to be in the wedding industry, I think.
I think
yes.
so.
Yes.
So I agreed to do that. They are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they were getting married in the Salt Lake City Temple for that religion. and the high that day was 15 degrees.
Real balmy and warm.
So balmy and warm. We had all of the tricks, which I'm sure we have either discussed or will discuss on how to make those winter weddings so beautiful and magical. And I came home in between sessions there and went, that was so much fun. I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Which, if you said that on a 15 degrees day in January in Utah, then you love what you do.
That was kind of my thought process. I was like, it can't get much worse than this weather-wise. There have been some other things, but weather-wise, it can't get worse than this.
Yeah.
And it has been the case. I've photographed in blizzards and snowstorms and 100+ degree weather where we're trying to keep brides cool and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, you see it all as a photographer. You see
do.
it all as a wedding planner, but yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's get into some more meat, if you will.
Yes.
So tell me what your most exotic or your most interesting location you have ever shot in is.
Oh, that's a great question. So I'm going to preface this by saying when I picked up my camera in that class, my dream was to travel the world and take pictures that I could hang on my walls. So that's where I started. It took me about 14 years or probably 13 years before I even got my passport. So kind of hard to make that dream happen when you don't have the tools to do it. After I got my passport, though, I was lucky enough to photograph a vow renewal in Tanzania. And I think that has to, hands down, have been the most remarkable thing in the entire world. That was definitely a pinch me moment.
Yeah, I agree. I happened to be there for that. So I do happen to agree that was a pinch me moment. We happened to be the planner and photographer on that one.
Yes.
So it was absolutely fabulous. But yes, I absolutely agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me what are the special moments about photography? What really makes you just passionate about it?
So specifically wedding photography, really any photography, but specifically wedding photography, this is going to sound a little morbid, but I get to have those moments and see those moments and give you the memories of those moments long after those people are no longer with you. I think that's one of the things I really realized, and I've kind of always done it, but it really hit home getting my grandparents' wedding album, because looking at those pictures, and they were married in the 50s. They have 10 images in their wedding album. It tells the complete story. So, but looking back on that, there's a handful of people that are still left on this side from their wedding. And it's really fun to see how young everybody was and how excited they were and all of those feelings and emotions. And I love getting to do first looks with dads or anniversary dances where you get to have your grandparents maybe won't be out on the dance floor all night long, but there's pictures of them dancing, which they maybe haven't done since their kid's wedding.
Right.
Those are the things, those are the memories, those are the ones that really matter. And I look at it and I go, we're going to take the beautiful portraits. We're going to take the beautiful pictures. You're going to get beautiful portraits. But all of those in between moments, your mom zipping up your dress, your grandma giving you your something old, those are the moments that are so fast on a wedding day.
Yes.
That you probably won't remember them.
No. And you might remember them, but they don't always get captured.
Yeah.
So talk to me about how you, when you look at a wedding, how do you photograph it?
So my philosophy in photographing is I call myself a ninja and your own personal paparazzi. I try to be as out of the way and fly on the wall as possible while still being there. I get a lot of couples, especially now, that say, I want really candid images. That's a very big trend that we're seeing. I want candid. I do that. I will put you, I like to call it candidly posed, because I want to put you in beautiful light or in the best possible position, but then I want you to be yourself. So when I am working with a planner or a couple, specifically on their timeline, I don't charge by the hour, because every single wedding takes a different amount of time to capture. Some weddings need more time, some weddings need less time. And I don't know what that is until I get there.
Right.
You definitely don't know what that is. A lot of times couples will be like, oh, well, we have the venue for 6 hours, and so I guess I need 6 hours of coverage. And it's like, there's so much more to the wedding day to help make it flow easy. And so I work with my couples, and one of the best questions I ask is, what's important to you? If what's important to you is to have pictures with every single one of your guests, we will plan for that. If you're like, I need like 10 pictures with my family and friends and call it good, we figure that one out. So I look at the wedding day by what is important to you. And then it is a lot of photojournalism. I think that's probably 80% of what it's classified as when I photograph a wedding is photojournalism.
So you're telling the story because journalism is telling a story. And so you're starting with like, here's the story of our love, and then telling the story of the day and the way that it works all the way through. Which I think is so important. And also I love the fact that you just talked about, sometimes you don't know what that right photo is going to be. I know sometimes like for, us, a couple might say, I want this exact photo and I want it to be this exact photo that I saw on Instagram or on Pinterest or, in a magazine. And the thing is that the light can be different. The location can be different, right? I remember standing with you in Tanzania and looking for the right photo. And it took us a minute, and all of a sudden we found the space for the right photo, which is not something we had looked for before for the couple. It wasn't something that we'd even thought about. And then all of a sudden, as we stood there, we both were kind of like, what about this position, right? Because it is important, the lighting, the day of, what's all going around surrounding you.
Well, all of that is so important. And I think having the time to do that, because going back to Tanzania, we all knew we had a videographer there on site with us as well. And we all knew that we were looking for this photo and we hadn't captured it yet. We hadn't gotten that shot yet. And so having the time to be able to do that and to go, okay, well, let's try this. And I mean, we tried so many different things and we got beautiful images.
Yes, they're all beautiful.
It was really hard to take a bad picture of that couple in that space, I will be honest. But there was something missing, and there was an image that just wasn't singing, is what I like to say.
I like that.
And sometimes that image is a portrait. Sometimes that image is you walking back down the aisle and kissing with everybody throwing petals. So, like, those hero images usually happen when you've allotted enough time to let them happen and to let the moment breathe.
Yep. And I think that's important because sometimes when people plan a wedding timeline, and I know for me as a planner, I always try to make sure that there is enough time for the photographer. We have whichever photographer it is, we have very lengthy conversations about what time do you need for this part? What time do you need for family photos? What time do you need for, making sure you're set up for the dances, those kind of things. But I see people do timelines that are so crunched and they're like, oh, we can get 100 photos in 20 minutes. You might not be able to get the right photos. You might be able to shoot 100 photos in those minutes. And so it's important to really work with your photographer on that. So I think that's definitely a great point. Okay. Now that I've made a point, what is your top advice to couples about photography?
I love an engagement session. And I love an engagement session because it lets you, as much as we go about the world with cameras in our pockets and we're constantly documenting things, photos and videos and what we ate for breakfast and all of the things, very rarely are we on the other side of the camera with a fairly substantial lens in our face. And dressed up and all of that kind of stuff. And so the thing I love about an engagement session is it lets me as a photographer know who you are as a couple and how you interact with each other. If I tell you guys to like jump on his back or so, and you guys look at me like you're crazy, I go, okay, we're not that kind of couple. Not anything wrong with that. It just is a good filler. It's a good way to find out how you guys interact and what your relationship is like. And you guys get to learn how I interact and the things that I look for. And then you become aware of it. I can't tell you how many times we do an engagement session And on the wedding day, there's almost no direction, because if I put them in a spot, my couple immediately falls into the pose.
Because they know what you're looking for
Because
at that
they
point.
know what it is. And they saw the pictures. They saw what they looked like.
Yep.
And they can remember what it feels like. And so if at all possible, I 100% would encourage an engagement session.
I love that. I really do. I had never really thought about it that way, but I think it's so important because you're right. You get to know that couple, like they might have told you on the phone that they are, really bubbly and fun. And then you get into the moment, you're like, oh, you don't really like a camera in front of you. And so those are things to learn about the couple beforehand. And also there's not 100 people around now. Right. So the moment is not as pressure as the wedding day.
And it also builds trust. So you guys know that when I ask you to do something and it might feel a little funny or awkward, that you're going to look good, that I'm not trying to make you look crazy. So it builds trust. And it's also like, I do think engagements should be celebrated.
It's an important milestone.
It is an important milestone, and it is part of your love story and part of the chapter of what this is. And you get to, if you think about your relationship in its entirety, you get to be engaged for a very short period of time, relatively speaking. A lot of times couples have dated for multiple years. Even if you have a longer engagement and you're engaged for 2 or 3 years, that's still small comparatively to the rest of your life. And so I do love an engagement session.
I love that. All right. So now I want to know, has there ever been like a special moment or something that was just like so touching that you captured that was just special for you?
So I have a lot of really fun ones with 15 years of photos. There have been a lot of really cool memories, but one that stands out in my mind is we worked with the DJ and the couple and had talked through the pros and cons of an anniversary dance. And one of the things that they decided to do, and it was kind of last minute, they were still on the fence, even kind of on the wedding day, as to whether or not they wanted to do this. But we decided ultimately that, yes, this was something we wanted to do. And so for those of you who don't know what an anniversary dance is, we like to do it. There's a couple of different ways. The way we like to do it is we like to spotlight the couple that's been married the longest and invite them out onto the dance floor to open up the dance floor after the rest of the special dances. And then we work our way down to everybody that's there to celebrate love or who just got married. So the bride's grandparents happened to be the couple that had been married the longest, and they had been married for about 70 years.
Wow.
So a really long time. And so when we started the anniversary dance, we invited them out onto the dance floor, and the song started playing, and it happened to be their first dance song. And obviously the bride's family all knew what this was. They knew it was Grandma and Grandpa's song, but there truly wasn't a dry eye in the room. As you watched these two people who were not the most spry dance with each other. And it was just so sentimental and so sweet to see the celebration of love, because that's really what we're there for. That's what the wedding is all about. I will say often, you will probably hear me say it a million times, that a wedding is an initiation. You are being initiated into the married club. And so that's the whole point. That's the whole point of all of the traditions and all of the things, and why you spend all of the money that you spend to throw the party that you throw. It is an initiation of you are joining this special club. And to have those people, and especially the bride's grandparents there and showing us that it can work and it can last, was just a really special thing to be a part of.
I mean, I think that's such a great thing for the couple too, because it's like, look, they made it 65 years. And I'm sure if you ask them, there are hard stories along that 65 years, right?
100%. None of us get out unscathed.
I know. None of us get out unscathed. You can have the best marriage and you're still going to have hard times, right? And so don't let that worry you or scare you. It's just part of life. Life is that way sometimes. So, oh, Morgan, this has been so much fun. So much fun to learn a little bit more about you, even though, like, obviously we've done a lot of work together and we love working together. But it doesn't mean you always know every little nuance about someone. So much fun. Okay, so I have one last question because I think this is important. Morgan obviously works anywhere in the world. And if you wanted to hire her, how do they contact you?
So the easiest way to find me is on Instagram. My Instagram is at Morgan Lee, and Lee is Leigh photography. And then my website is morganleephotography.net.
Perfect. And then you can always reach out to us on Wedding Wisdom if you do have any questions, either Instagram or on the YouTube channel, which hopefully you're following below. So make sure that you follow us, and we will see you next time. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Wisdom Podcast with your hosts, Tanya Hoops and Morgan Powell. To keep up to date with the latest episodes, like, subscribe, and follow at Wedding Wisdom Blog on all social media platforms. To submit content, please email weddingwisdomblog@gmail.com.